dear friends, I welcome everyone who is watching Sotnik-TV. Today is Saturday, June 13th, 2020, 7 p.m. in Moscow, and we're streaming live. My first interview today is with Alexander Sotnik, a columnist from St. Petersburg. Alexander, let me ask you, what's the situation in St. Petersburg? What are the citizens up to, and how do they feel after the period of self-isolation? People are behaving the same way they did before the period of self-isolation. Public spaces are not as busy as before the quarantine, though. Can you explain why does Vladimir Putin need a high turnout to the upcoming vote? According to the head of the Central Voting Committee, the amendments to the Constitution have already been adopted. In fact, they have already printed the new edition of the Constitution, so why do they need citizens to vote on it? The unlawfulness of the amending the Constitution and its true nature is obvious. So the authorities will try to cover it by creating an illusion of citizen support, saying that people's will is more important than any formality. That will be the official response. Here's my second question. Should people attend this election, which is as practical as Putin a like or a dislike? By doing so, one day legitimize the crime of changing the Russian constitution. My response to this will consist of two parts. First, should someone attend or boycott this farce? It is not a matter of principle now. The numbers won't make any difference. It's obvious that any barrier to changing the constitution or fabricating new laws have been removed and have never been seen before in Russia. Any method that would reveal even a part of this fabrication has now been removed. That's why the final voting numbers the government provides will have nothing to do with reality. So people may either stay at home or attend the polling station. However, their votes will change nothing. Personally, I prefer to boycott this voting. Still, it depends on a citizen's personal choice. Some will be inspired to protest by boycotting, and others by voting. So it's up to everyone to decide for themselves. The other scenario will be determined by the opposition that needs to make Vladimir Putin step into his new chapter of his life as dishonored, ashamed, and as humiliated as possible. Will Putin take revenge for that in the future? He will line his enemies up against the wall. He will attack his enemies. What else can you expect? There are no other options for Putin. One way or another, there will be a violent confrontation. People need to brace themselves and to be ready for a fight. Can you give a little more detail on what this confrontation may look like? How will it begin and when should it be expected to start? First of all, the repression of human rights will get worse after the voting is over, as Russian security forces will take the amendment for a signal to begin arresting and imprisoning more and more innocent citizens. This scam is nothing but a state takeover initiated from above, and Russian systemic opposition should not expect to keep any of its positions after such a coup. No one should expect any legitimacy from the transformed regime after this voting poll. The politicians, hoping to keep their positions in the regime after the coup, must be really naive. I guess that the only way the opposition will be able to act from that point is by leaving the borders of Russia. Do you think that the Venice Commission will ever accept such a hybrid constitution adopted by the hybrid regime? I guess that Venice Commission will accept politely scolding Russia. In response, they will receive another boorish response from the Kremlin, suggesting to mind their own business and to keep quiet on this matter, and that will be the end of it. There won't be any consequences for Russia's actions. The only remaining way to change the political situation is a social revolution. That revolt will mean masses of people protesting on the streets in hundreds of thousands, despite any restriction, crackdown, or even violence from the police. Otherwise, nothing will ever change in Russia. So you still hope for a mass riot on the streets, right? Sooner or later, people will start a revolt. It may happen this fall or the next year. It will happen. To close our dialogue, let me cite Vladimir Putin, who said the following back in 2012. If I considered authoritarianism or totalitarianism to be a better alternative for Russia, I would simply change the constitution. He said so 8 years ago, during his third term as president began. That's why the constitution is being changed now. Don't you think that it's just about giving Putin unlimited terms as president? There are many unexplained reasons for changing some of the amendments that are way more terrifying than the known reasons. I agree with you, the authorities will keep enforcing the dictatorship in Russia. What will the constitution amending lead to? It's clear that it will have a far-reaching impact on Russia's future. What era will the country step into the next day after the voting is held? I have discussed this with Yuri Nesterenko, a poet and political writer who is residing in the USA. There are two options for the upcoming vote. People may either take part in it or boycott it. Which option would you suggest to the citizens of Russia? The only option I can suggest to the people living in Russia is to study guerrilla warfare tactics and Molotov cocktail recipes. Those are now the only ways for them to effect any change. People are still trying to win against cheaters, but it's obviously senseless and counterproductive. Nothing can be achieved until the citizens stop playing by the cheaters' rules. So no other options should be discussed further. Why does Vladimir Putin need a high turnout? Does he need to demonstrate the nation's unity in front of the West? Or may it be some satanic act of a sacrifice to the almighty coronavirus? As I have said before, the coronavirus has already kicked Putin's arrogant ass quite hard. Putin was dishonored in front of the entire world when he had to cancel the previous vote, as well as his victory parade. So now he's taking revenge. He needs to do what was initially planned, come hell or high water. As a matter of principle, he wants to do this better late than never. He doesn't care how many lives of his compatriots this will take. In fact, he always has. He is so outraged that nothing can stop him now. It's clear that the epidemic will only get worse. Even the official reports don't show any decrease in the number of people with the coronavirus. Around 9,000 infections are registered daily. As for the real mortality rate, the actual number exceeded the official reports. I guess that the 50 to 60,000 Russians have died from the corona are dismissed from official reports. However, the regime has never given a damn about facts. The authorities have pretended to care for the citizens and adopted a quarantine for their own agenda. But now they think they have done enough. They're now adopting the methods used by Joseph Stalin. They can lose 1 million of people here and 1 million there. Who cares? Take care of yourselves, of your heart and soul. Make sure to watch Sotnik-TV. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.